Welcome to my channel In My Opinion. This topic is about government overreach. This is a rather large topic and will need more than one video, but I will try to keep it brief. As you know, I like to keep my videos short and to the point. The first government overreach I remember was when I was a kid. I believe it was 1986 when they initiated the mandatory use of seatbelts. I was crushed since my parents had a station wagon. We were able to move around in the vehicle or lay down or play in the back. It was the best thing about traveling. I'm sure that made traveling for my parents a lot worse, having to buckle their kids in a seat and then having to hear us complain about having nothing to do. It was probably a lot harder to put up with us on a long journey. Fortunately, they didn't really enforce back of pickup mandatory restraints until I was already an adult. One of my favorite things was hopping in a pickup truck with 5, 10, maybe even 15 friends and heading off somewhere and having a great time. All together. Yes, it could be dangerous, but fortunately I never knew anybody that got hurt that way. Being able to travel in a single vehicle all together was a great time, being able to talk, mess around, just having fun. It was an amazing memory from my childhood. I understand things are a little different today. The world is a much busier place and maybe stuff like that would be irresponsible, but truthfully, I still think there is a place for it. Maybe just limit where you can do it, of course not on the freeway. But on small city streets off the main drag, I think it should still be legal, and I know in many places it is. In fact, it is in my town where I now live. When it comes to wearing seatbelts in a car, I think that should be left up to the person. Now, if you want to regulate that children under a certain age should be forced to wear one, I would agree with that. Even though personally I wear mine and I feel safer when I have it on, I still think an adult should be able to make that decision on their own. If the government wants to put regulation on cars to make them safer, I'm fine with that to a point. The problem is they always like to overdo or underdo everything, which drives pricing up on vehicles. Between regulations on safety and overdoing the emissions regulations, car makers have had no choice but to significantly raise car prices. Regulation on light bulbs was great, but again, the government doesn't follow through and properly initiate what they're doing. When we changed to CFLs, I thought it was an amazing upgrade over incandescent, except of course for the flickering. Then when LED bulbs came out, that was a game changer. Yes, they were expensive, but we were told they would last up to 50,000 hours, and maybe some of the original ones would. But now all I'm finding is I pay a lot more for a bulb that a lot of times does not outlast an incandescent. Yes, I'm sure there's some LEDs out there that, in a perfect world, can last 50,000 hours, but the last I checked, we don't live in a perfect world. I know power consumption was the driving force behind the LED, and that has been a great benefit. But promise of long life of an LED doesn't seem to really be there anymore. It almost seems like planned obsolescence, which is a whole other video. If the government wants to force something on us, at least make sure it is implemented properly all the way through the process. Okay, yes, those are maybe small things, but what about things like HIPAA when it comes to minors? When my kids turned 12, or it might have been 13, my wife and I were locked out from their medical records and even being able to make appointments for them. We had to make phone calls and fill out forms so we could get access back. What type of person or agency, pretty much under any circumstance, would think that a child at the age of 12 or 13 would be capable of making important medical decisions? I consider my kids to be very smart, but they would not even know how to make an appointment for themselves, let alone figure out how to get to the doctor, and probably wouldn't be able to explain to the doctor what was wrong. There might be some instances where an unfit parent or broken family, maybe I could understand that, but there still needs to be some stable adult figure looking out for the child. If a child is in a good family, living under their roof with their insurance, parents need to have full access to all their information and none of it should ever be hidden from them. It is not only lunacy thinking otherwise. In my opinion, it is a criminal act not allowing parents access. The truth is that there might even be a time when a child doesn't necessarily need to know about a medical problem that is wrong with them. What if a 12-year-old kid was diagnosed with a disease that would most likely kill them within the next 10 years? Depending on the kid, I think information like that could wait until the proper time when you think they can handle the information. Putting all that burden on a child is completely unacceptable. Now maybe I don't completely understand the law, I am not an attorney, I just know what I know from my experience. It could be that it's the medical industry that is too afraid to tell the parents without proper consent, because they're afraid of being sued. Well, in my opinion, that is potentially a larger problem. The medical industry should not be afraid of doing their job and doing what they know is right. Let's move on to mandatory education. I wanted to bring this up because I do consider it a government overreach, and I know a lot of people do. Forcing somebody to get an education, if they don't want it, seems wrong. Now, in my opinion, it is one of those necessities we just simply can't do without. I strongly believe in a basic education, and this also kind of goes back to the last topic. You could never have a 5 to 18-year-old child decide whether they wanted to go to school or not. Just about any kid would rather stay home, play video games, and hang out with your friends. So that being said, I guess this is one of those government overreaches that I can agree with. I do believe, though, that the education system has steered way off course in the last 2 to 3 decades, but we can save that for another video. I want to talk about gun regulation just a little bit. Again, we'll deal with that in another video. This is again a problem with everybody in the country being punished for the action of a few people. There are millions of people in this country that enjoy guns for recreational use, and some need them for protection in a lot of situations, or just to feel safe in your own home. I believe we need severe penalties for gun-related crimes to help deter gun violence. I know this might sound harsh to some, but if somebody shoots another human being in a criminal act and not in self-defense, that person needs to suffer the same fate. Sorry, but I do believe in this case an eye for an eye is the appropriate punishment. Instead, we choose to arrest them and waste millions on a trial while attorneys get rich. Then we put them on death row for the rest of their life while we spend millions more. As the victims' family members suffer with no closure. They sit there, not being executed. Again, a whole other topic. I like to keep my videos short, so we will discuss some of these in more detail at a later time. I've found myself saying a whole other topic a lot through these last few videos. When I started out, I came up with about 25 ideas for videos, but I was worried I would run out of content. I now realize that there is going to be plenty of content to go around for a long time, and these are just ones dealing with our government. I still have a lot of other stuff to talk about. Hopefully you find my videos interesting. Like I said, down the road I'll try to make them a little more professional. I would also like to touch on some subjects that you might be interested in, and I can go into much greater detail if you like. Leave comments, I would like your feedback and suggestions. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. I will see you in the next one. If you would like to know where I made this video, click on the link in the description below to InVideo AI. It's a very easy site to use and it will help my channel.